If you're a fan of the first-person shooter genre, at this point you've likely seen or played Splitgate 2, but will Splitgate fall victim to the same story we've seen 1,000 times before? A new game comes out that tries to compete with AAA studios, the game launches with insane hype, new players flood in, people can't stop talking about how good the game is, but ultimately when the dust settles, this game ends up fading away into obscurity, maintaining a relatively niche player base. Let me jog your memory in case you forgot. We've had Shatterline, Iron Sight, World War III, BattleBit Remastered, Fragpunk, Spectre Divide, Polygon, and so many more that you've probably never heard of. The only game that I've seen survive this is The Finals, which has been out for over a year and a half now, has received tons of updates bringing new content and quality of life features to the game. On Steam, The Finals has stabilized around 20,000 active players every day, and when you include the players on console, they probably have enough players to keep the game going and likely have crossed the point of profitability where the game makes money and it makes sense to continue supporting it. But where does that leave Splitgate 2? Are we already in the downfall, and if we are, can the game be saved? Where do I begin? Well, let me tell you my experience with the game. After having played it for a little over 40 hours, at first I really enjoyed the game, and as a person who didn't play the first version of it, the jetpacks feel smooth and snappy, but also grounded in a way that makes them fun to use and not frustrating to fight against. The maps are really cool and interesting, and the longer time to kill really rewards good aim instead of just whoever shoots first. And there was seemingly very light skill-based matchmaking, which meant that the game was actually fun to play as a solo because I wasn't punished for having a good match or forced to carry the worst players in the game. I got a good bit of variety, some sweaty games, some casual games, and everything in between. The classes were fun and the abilities weren't overwhelming and didn't require a ton of skill to learn or use. But where Splitgate runs into the problem is that on the surface the game is very solid, it only exists on the surface. There's no depth to this game, at least not yet. There's no movement to master, there's not a complex map or systems to learn, there's not even a reward for reaching a certain level or getting a certain number of kills. Now obviously we do have the portals and that takes time to learn, but you don't have to be an expert at portals and you honestly don't even have to use them at all. And what might be the most simple thing to have that would really keep players engaged is an in-game combat record. And I think it's such a letdown when a first-person shooter game launches without a combat record to see your stats. FPS fans, we're super competitive and wanting to get better is what keeps us playing. At the very least, it would be nice to see things like your KD, win-loss percentage, and it would be super awesome if they even showed players what their skill rating was the way that XDefiant did. So not having all of that info available kills the fun for so many players. Now, Splitgate did launch to a ton of hype, but hype alone cannot carry a game. While it is good for getting attention around your game during the launch window, if the game doesn't have enough content, then it's not going to survive the long haul, especially in today's world where everyone apparently has ADHD. Splitgate 2 does have the labs, which allows players to create custom maps and share them, but there's currently no good or easy way to browse them, and I'm wondering if 1047 Games was hoping that community-created content would carry the game the same way that mods for Black Ops 3 have kept the game alive a decade later. But in Splitgate 2, once you play through the maps and modes the game has to offer, you're really only left with the core gameplay, which for some people is enough. Now again, I do like the gameplay, but I'm the type of person that needs something to grind for, something to work towards, something that I can flex and show off in game like a ranked badge or a mastery camo. And as of now, we really don't have anything like that other than the very basic player cards. Without a combat record, cosmetics to grind for, or a good progression system, or a ranked mode, this game is definitely gonna see a drop in not only players, but a drop in revenue. And I really hope that this game doesn't become plagued with the main issue that XDefiant had. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing if you're a fan of all things FPS games. We do live streams both here on YouTube and over on Kick, so make sure you subscribe to get notifications whenever I go live or when I upload a new video. Well, let's get back to Splitgate. We have this announcement here from 1047 saying that some of the staff is getting laid off, and you know what? It's just easier if I go ahead and read the statement. Today, we parted ways with a small group of valued 1047 Games team members. We're still perfecting the Splitgate 2 experience in response to the community feedback, and we are redirecting resources to build the best game for our players. We are sad to see our teammates go, and we are actively working to help them secure new opportunities. Further, our co-founders Ian and Nicholas have opted not to take salaries as we lock in to deliver the next phase of the project. Thank you to those who've built alongside us. We are sad to say goodbye and would not be here without you. To everyone who's playing Splitgate 2, we're continuing to work hard to deliver more things that we know you'll love. We are committed to building this game for the long haul. Now, it's interesting that the heads of the studio are deferring their salaries, and I suppose at least it's good for PR. Now the question is, did this happen because Splitgate underperformed in its launch week, or is this just natural employee churn and has nothing to do with the state of the game? I know in there they said they're redirecting resources to build the best game for our players, and that it's kind of based on community feedback. So I'm not sure if they're abandoning features that they don't think fans will like, or if they're moving in an entirely different direction for the game. What I'm most curious about is the line in there that says, as we lock in to deliver the next phase of the project. Does that mean a new season? Another massive update like the launch of the Battle Royale? Let me know in the comments what you guys think they have planned for the next quote-unquote phase of Splitgate. We also can't talk about the state of the game without bringing up the dreaded Steam charts. Now, these numbers don't tell the whole story, but it is a glimpse into the overall trend. I do feel like something is wrong here because 1047 said they hit 2.5 million unique accounts when they launched the game, and Steam Charts is only showing a peak of 25,000, and Steam Charts typically represents between 10 to 20% of the player base for games that launch on both PC and console, so I would expect to see at least 200,000, at least 250,000 players on the Steam Charts, so I'm not sure what's going on here. I know the game is also on Xbox and PlayStation, as well as the Epic launcher for PC, but something just seems a little wrong. But let's put that aside for a second. If this is true, we have a trend on Steam Charts of Splitgate 2 losing 2/3 of its player base in just the first few weeks. But when we look at what's being reported by Xbox, the game sits inside the top 25, which is actually insanely good, and on the PlayStation, sitting at number 41 at the time of recording this video. So maybe most of the players are just on console, which, fair point. And when we look at a game like X-Defiant that launched with a massive number of players and had a steep drop in player count due to missing features and lacking content the players wanted, that left fans in a weird place where a lot of people wanted to play X-Defiant, but they were just waiting for the game to get more updates and content before jumping in. And the devs were very active on Twitter, listening and responding to the players' questions, comments, and concerns. But unfortunately for a lot of people, the game started to get this narrative around it where everything players wanted was quote-unquote coming at a later date, and without a concrete roadmap or a date for those features, many players just abandoned the game and found something else to play while they waited for the game to shape up. And right now, Splitgate seems like it's in the same position. The game has a very solid foundation, is fun to play, but without more content, quality of life features, and thanks to grind, the game might just fade away like so many others before. If you liked that video and you want to watch another one, click here.